There you see Johnson returning to the track. Can tell you Boris Said was running 19th when he spun, fell to 32nd.
All right, Bud, remember pit road speed starts all the way around the corner to the yellow line.
3,400 first, 3,400 first, after the 07 car.
And pit road speed, when he said he's able to come around just like he's racing right now, because pit road speed starts right there. That's where pit road, even though they used to make it start way on the other side, and it killed you to come in the pits. But Tony run that corner just then, just like he was running on the racetrack. He was just in another groove.
Jimmy Johnson too fast entering pit road.
That's tough right there.
Yeah.
Because where we just showed Tony coming in, that's where the 48 got called.
Yeah.
Matt.
And Tony Stewart pitting just the first stall on the turn 1 side of the scoring tower. Now Stewart, his biggest complaint, forward bite. He's away. Good stop by the 14 guys. Air pressure change. He said he was wicked loose the first 2 laps of that run.
Kasey Kahne is scored as the race leader. 31 laps about to be completed. There's Kahne in that number 9 Budweiser car.
And here's a guy.
Some mileage.
Yeah, here's a guy that got no mileage last week.
Yeah.
No mileage last week. So obviously, the guys in the engine department over there at RPM have worked on carburetors. Bill Pink and those guys, they spend a lot of time working on carburetors for fuel mileage.
But they're not running that.
Hey guys, that's the reason he's still out there, because he needs to get a little deeper into this run before he makes that stop. If you look at the 4 cars that's not pitted, 3 of them are Richard Petty Motorsports cars. They need to get to about lap 32 to where they can make it on one more stop.
And Larry, that's not the new Dodge engine, right?
It is not, but they still do not get as good a fuel mileage.
Right.
But the problem, Bill, when you look at Kasey Kahne, Ryan Newman, Elliott Sadler, who I think just hit pit road, Reed Sorensen, they're sweating bullets right now. If a caution comes out, they're dead in the water because they've got to come to pit road. All these other guys will be in front of them.
See, Larry, this is where crew chiefs confuse me. You're telling me he's running farther because he gets worse fuel mileage.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm confused. I don't need to go.
He's got to get there to be able to make it on one more stop.
And it makes perfect sense.
But how do you get there if you have bad fuel mileage?
But because he knows they can run about 38 laps, they still could go another 6 or 8 laps, Wally, but they've got to get to a point to where they can make it on one more stop, and they're not quite there yet.
This is a racy little bunch right here. Did you get all that?
No. And I'm sure Larry's right, but I just don't get it. I'll tell you, that was
close right there.
Yeah.
You saw the 11 car try to stuff it up in a place that nobody passes. That's not a place you pass unless the guy gives you some room. And Ryan Newman was not going to give him any room right there.
But as the race goes on, you're going to see these guys are going to have to get ugly with each other in order to force the moves, because you only have 2 spots. Here's one of them. But when you're getting down there to the end, you're going to see these guys putting in places that they normally wouldn't.
Ryan Newman heads for his pit stall. You got him, Ralph.
Ryan Newman is getting ready to make his way down pit road. They're going to drop the right side air pressure and the track bar down. 4 tires and fuel. He's been very loose in the S's. He feels like he's been losing a lot of time over there. Said earlier on the radio, I feel like I'm getting killed through the S's.
Boy, it takes a long time to get over there. See the 43 being pushed down pit road. To find out what happened to him.
Did you hear that? Man, he was on the gas on that thing. And they drop it. And you know, Wally and I talk about this, and you hear these cars leave. You heard the RPM. He was up in the RPM band trying to get that thing revving. So when he dropped the clutch, it's like setting at a stoplight and starting from a stoplight in your street car in 2nd or 3rd gear. That's how hard it is for these guys to get these things going. And they don't have time to get them chugging going, because that's even harder on a drivetrain.
Here comes Kasey Kahne.
3,700 first.
Another one, a long drive to you, Ralph.
Oh, and it seems like forever for these guys to come down pit lane. I'll tell you, one of the guys who's having the hardest part with that is the poor gas man, sitting here on the wall with that huge gas can, just sitting on their shoulders, waiting for the car to get to him. It is a brutal task, and then you have to stand up off the wall and go run to the car and throw the fuel in. Kasey Kahne's car is tight in turn 4. That seems to be the only problem he's talking about. So they're just going to make an air pressure adjustment to fix that, pitting on lap 33, right when they had planned on it, Bill.
Good job, Ralph. Come around to the left side on that Budweiser Dodge.
And they aren't going to pack that thing with fuel. They're going to make sure.
And he stalled it.
I'm telling you, these guys are hard. The first gears in these cars are so tall. It's hard to explain. Kyle Chuck did a good job, but it's just hard to explain. Even when you drop the clutch, the thing wants to stall. It's like starting in third gear instead of first gear. It's the best way to.
Yeah, it's not even like starting in second gear.
Yeah.
It's like starting in third gear, because these guys, you know, their first gear, they're carrying 40 or 50 miles an hour through these corners in first gear, and that's not like starting from zero.
Denny Hamlin is the race leader. Then it's Kurt Busch, Marcos Ambrose, who was third in qualifying, has had a fast car here all weekend, had a nightmare day on Saturday, had to start at the rear of the field, now runs third.
And this is, you know, some of the strategies, you know, Larry was talking about. If you can time it right, and you can get these cautions to come out at the right time for you, it's all a gamble. You are throwing the dice on this stuff all the time, as far as coming in early, coming in late. Right now, Marcos is sitting in a great spot. Now, I'm not sure how much further he can go or how many more laps he can go.
He can go for a while.
Probably about 20.
Yep. We'll see how it plays out under green in Sonoma. Denny Hamlin is the race leader here in Sonoma. 36 laps are complete. We can tell you the 43 pushed back to the garage with a broken track bar for Reed Sorensen. NASCAR fans, let's look at this week's standings for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. continue to lead. Fans, don't forget to cast your vote for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award from your AT&T phone. Text in the car number for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network.
Well, you just saw Kurt Busch overtake Denny Hamlin, and Denny Hamlin just got out of his way. Pulled over to the side, said, yep, you're in my mirrors, and I know you're faster, so you go ahead and give it a shot.
And you know, but this is one of those places where you can use up all your equipment at this point in time in the race. This race, even though these guys run with...
Wow. He really locked the right front up there.
Even though and here comes Denny by.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if you don't want to lead, I'll lead then. Okay, let me go.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, even though these guys run like their tongues are hanging out every lap, these guys drive really hard. You still got to have something there at the end if it comes down to a green, white checkered or a 10-lap sprint race.
But I'll tell you what, you can use your equipment up worse by mirror driving.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. Once you get in the lead, you start running harder, and you start looking in that mirror, and that's when you start making mistakes and locking tires up.
Every time when I used to drive 100 years ago, I would use my equipment up, because most of the time when I looked in the mirror, I'd run off the racetrack. So, and that was just, it's hard to gauge all that stuff. These guys are focused on their points. They're focused on their marks. You see him drift out. He's already picked his mark. You never drive off the hood of these cars.
Yeah.
You drive way out, and here's another spin. That's the second time Bobby's been out through there. Probably not of his making either.
Well, 150 years ago when I was driving, Kyle, I used to not run a really big mirror on the road courses just for the fact because I didn't want to know what was there.
And the other thing is this, and you bring up a good point here. Not about 150 years ago. That's not the point. That's not. But these guys don't use spotters here like you use on the ovals. On the ovals, you hear the spotters inside, outside. Guys looking to the peak, or peeking here, peeking there. These guys don't use spotters that way. They actually drive the cars and have to use the mirrors themselves. So you've thrown something else into the mix that they have to do that they're not. They're good with it because they're professional drivers and they're the best in the business, but you're just not used to it.
Just to show you how wacky these races can play out, right now Tony Stewart is 15th after leading, Kyle Busch 16th, and Matt Kenseth is up to 4th. And Lindsay, they got some kind of a game plan, huh?
Well, they do have a game plan, Bill, and they're really honestly trying to barter. In fact, Matt Kenseth, I think, would like to bring his car in now because he's got a tire rub in the right rear, but he's trying to work things out. His crew chief says that's not exactly what he wants him to do. Listen in.
You got to save us 3 laps, Matt. If you can save us 3 laps, that's going to get us close to our window. Can you do it? 3 laps or 2 cautions, Matt. Can you help us out there?
3 laps, including the cautions we ran.
3 laps. You need to save us 3 laps this run.
Include that extra caution.
The extra caution lap. You need to save us 3 laps.